Hey there! Today I'm gonna show you how I changed this thing I made 2 years ago into this beautiful, marvelous RTS game. Let's go! Yeah, this is pretty boring. First I thought I'd make it into a sort of trash copy of StarCraft, but then I realized I had no idea how to make a good strategy game AI. So I did the unbelievable and actually spent some time thinking. It will be a wave defense game with nomadic gameplay, where you play as the king and have the day to move around the map and collect resources, build an army and a temporary base to defend you against the hordes of enemies that come out every night until your inevitable end. But first we need to fix the pathfinding, because, yeah. So I just borrowed this algorithm, not knowing what kind of trouble it would cause me in the future. Now I could finally add a bunch of enemies and have them follow us around the object. Great, now I need a combat system, but I just couldn't figure out how to get it. But then I remembered the wise words of computer scientist Alan Turing. Write code. And so, code I wrote. The enemy will automatically pursue the first target it sees. At a certain distance it will likely have multiple more targets, and it will choose the best one to attack based on these criteria. And once it gets into the combat, it will attack the closest enemy if the current target dies or flees too far away. And that's it. Thanks for watching Coding with Adam. In the next episode, I will show you how to code yourself an AI girlfriend. At this point, I realized that the goblins just sort of blend together when I tell them to move somewhere. But don't worry, there's a function for that in A-star algorithm I told you about earlier. Ah, it's only for the paid version. Well, how much is the paid version then? $140? Okay, screw this, I'll do it myself, should be that hard. Okay, it may not be a full local avoidance function, but the system I made is free, gets the job done, is free, and opens door for strategy informations. Oh, and did I mention that it's... Speaking of strategy, it's time to take full control over the goblins and make commands for them. But not before sidetracking and making some sound effects and animations, of course. But back to it, I would like to make these 3 basic commands so that the player doesn't go crazy from micromanaging every goblin. Specifically, follow, which will make the units follow the player and try to protect him. Defend, which will make the units bodyguard other goblins or defend buildings. And gather resources, which will tell the workers to, well, gather resources. I bet you didn't see that one coming. So I started with the simplest command to warm my feet, which worked perfectly at the first try, until you start using it more than once. But I fixed that, and with high hopes I went after the next logical command, defend, which is the exact same thing as follow except for this change. So it's no wonder that it's working, until you start using it more than once. The command to gather resources, to my surprise, proved to be the hardest one to make, mostly due to my terrible code from 2 years ago. But of course I managed to get through it and now I can finally relax. Just kidding! We are nowhere near done yet and I have about a week before I have to start studying for my final high school exams. So get back to work, man! Now I have to make the game a bit challenging. For that reason I will be using these knights that spawn in waves at night. Due to the sinisterness of their goal and the time of day they are spawning at, I call them the Night Knights. Very scary, I know. But don't worry, you won't need to fight them fair and square. You can just build these archer towers and shoot them from afar. Just make sure to defend them. The next stop in our coding marathon is Procedural Generation. You might not know it, but Procedural Generation is actually super easy. You just take some random noise, put colors to it, tell it to, generate the world, realize it's laggy as frick even on your smaller debug version of the map, spend about 5 hours coding a word chunk system, acquire a crippling depression and burnout, and you're done! We have a world! Congrats! This, along with an actually working resource system, made it finally possible to play the goddamn game and test it properly. And boy did I run into a lot of shit. From goblins not defending themselves, chunks not loading properly and getting absolutely overpowered by the sheer amount of enemies on the map, all the way to the enemies breaking the 4th wall and just deciding they've had enough of fighting, there was a lot to do. I'm back after a few weeks of studying and I don't even remember how my code works. Because apparently, according to me, it's better to be lost in code spaghetti than to spend a few minutes writing comments. So I'm not gonna explain anything, but aside from bug fixes, I made a main menu, tutorial, an automatic group system if your arm is pressed too much, and many more quality of life features. The only thing I didn't add was the minimap. But I figured it's not necessary because the bases are not permanent and the group system sort of takes care of the possibility of losing some goblins. So this means that the game is finished. Yay! You can download it on itch.io from the link in the description, and you can leave a comment telling me how great the quality is and how much you don't miss having a nice minimap in the corner. That's gonna be it from me today. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next devlog. Bye bye!